And now we have the proof that Colleen Hoover was always going to betray Justin Baldoni. She just really needed the perfect segue to do it. Isabella Farah, well, could never be trusted. And Blake Lively will never beat the racist allegations. I'm here to make sure she doesn't beat them, even if she tries to. I'm always going to bring her back to her wedding day on that plantation. Let's get into it. F around and find out. Hello there, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of F Around and Find Out. I'm your host, Elsie, and I appreciate you for being here. Bocce's back by very, very popular demand. Bocce, you are way too famous, and I feel like I could just have you cover when I'm not around. What do you think about that?
I could never do what you do, Elsridge. You're amazing at what you do. I'm just like roll out of bed, do TikToks kind of person.
Like you'll be fine.
You're professional.
You might do too good of a job. They may never want me back. We will not read every single text message. We're going to just pick, the points that were hard-hitting, emotional, quite frankly, heartbreaking, if you will, for Justin. And also, we're going to talk about one of Bocce's, I'm going to call it one of your Roman empires, because you've been on the tip since the beginning. And we're going to start there, actually. But let's get right into it, which is going to be starting with a 30-point list. And Bocce, I'm going to let you run this show because this is your Roman Empire, and I'm going to chime in every now and again. But what do you think about this?
Yeah, no, I was super excited to see this. So one of the videos I did fairly recently, but I said one thing that I want to know is the metadata on the 30-point document, because I have a running theory that it started on July 19th and somewhere around July 19th to October 26th. And so I was looking forward to this, but it turns out that Blake Lively decided, I'm not giving that to you. Instead, what she gave them was the metadata that showed the upload of the 2 screenshots on July 23, 2025, which was for the second amended complaint, rather than what she put into the CRD. Actually, I wouldn't even say the CRD, but what why didn't she put it as an exhibit? That was one of the first things I said.
Yeah.
Where they could have the metadata from that whole thing. Because she claims that she read from that 30-point document to Justin Baldoni and company on that January 4th meeting. How can they verify if that's the case if she's not giving them the metadata of this thing? At the end of the day, my standing belief is that they made a big deal about how they unfollowed Justin Baldoni 10 months prior to Ryan Reynolds blocking him, which falls on the time that that Blake Lively requested for the dailies the second time. I believe that they started concocting things around that time frame. And then if you looked at the 30-point document, the first portions are like these allegations or accusations, but then the latter half are demands of how they want to fix it if they're going to return to production. And I believe that those 10-ish kind of points, that was what was done at Bradley Cooper's home. And that's just a theory.
And honestly, it's actually interesting because the last time you were here, which is not that long ago, we were making a point of how she's very sparing when it comes to dating things, at least correctly, right? Down to whether she's given us a date, say on this date I was breastfeeding and he came through, but then could give us another conversation, another instance, but no date is included. And I think it's also part of her tactic of trying to make it seem like all these things happen in such a span and it took so long for these to happen. When in reality, if you were to grab the shooting calendar and pick each day she was on set, we're only talking about 16 days. When you boil it down to, you make a great point here, why we don't have the metadata for this, which could alleviate a lot of, our concerns as far as when it was really written, rather than when you came up with it to use as evidence, if you will.
And I think that's the point of Melissa Nathan when she brings up this email where they quote this email in their motions response of saying, this is just a cover for a motion to compel. And as they stated, like that window has closed. There was a point in time that I said, you know what? Blake Lively could throw Stephanie Jones under the bus and say, I didn't know. That's out the window.
It's gone.
That's out the window because this was given to Van Zandt. And so this means she read these text messages. She knew there was no smear campaign. And also this tells me if the New York Times truly got all of these documents, then how can they ever say they had no countering narrative to work with
Yeah.
They also knew.
This is a perfect opportunity to do the old come back here and drag New York Times right back to the table and make them answer to some things.
I think that's what they were afraid of.
Quick intermission, and we're back to just us. Bocce had to leave for an emergency, couldn't be controlled, so I'm back to just me. I am so sorry. So Justin Baldoni sends this message. This is all wrong in reference to the Hollywood Reporter article. They didn't buy the rights to produce the film, is what he says. They did not produce the film. This is a blatant lie about her advancing domestic violence convos, which she didn't. And I mean, you can imagine if you're Justin, you're shocked to your core hearing this, reading this article. It talks about, you're so much more than a survivor. You're more than a victim. While that is a huge thing, you're a person of multitudes, and what someone has done doesn't define you. You define you. Hoover has always said the same of her book. I think Blake said that on the red carpet in a Britney Spears dress. Sony is fully in sync with Lively. Blake, Colleen, and so many women put much effort into this remarkable movie, working selflessly from the start to ensure that such an important subject matter was handled with care. Audience loved the movie. Blake's passion and commitment to advancing the conversation around the domestic violence is commendable. Sony Pictures CEO Tony says that to the Hollywood Reporter. We love working with Blake and want to do 12 more movies with her, completely leaving out Justin, like not a single mention. You would think that man had nothing to do with this. And says, hi, I'm Sony, and I'm going to cozy up to Ryan and erase Justin. Justin responds back, let the fans handle it, I guess. It's just Sony has no spine. And yet, as Jamie says, they're doing their job. Well, guys, Bocce's back, so forget the emergency. I lied. Hi, I'm Sony, and I'm gonna cozy up to Ryan to erase Justin. I thought that was well done from him.
When I first heard that one, I was literally was like, it reminds me of, hi, Ryan, this is Les.
Yes. You know what, though? We're gonna get to Jamie, which I told you privately that I thought how smart and how calm he stayed throughout this whole thing. And it now makes more sense when you remember Steve Sarwood saying in the Claire, are you recording? You know, Jamie, he's the one that's been shouldering a lot of this burden. He's the one that's been handling it, and he definitely deserved the vacation time that he was about to take.
I will just say that in the midst of Justin Baldoni's frustration with Sony, I just love, he reminds me of me, okay? In the sense of, he's like, Sony has no spine. But they're also just doing their job. And it's like this push and pull of like, I am so mad. I am so hurt. I'm so angry. But at the same time, I can understand where they're coming from. And let's get, and even with Colleen, it's like hurt. But even in his biggest hurt, he's like, I just don't have the strength to be the bigger person right now. That kind of sentiment about Justin Baldoni, I think this is my best friend today. She never heard of this case before. And she's like, but what's the pull? Why do you care about this? And I said have you ever seen someone? I said, have you ever met like the purest person in the world? I mean, not to say that Justin Baldoni is the purest person in the world, but like just a person that you see getting railroaded. Yeah. And you're just like, this is wrong. And there's just, it's just, there's an injustice here.
There's an injustice being done. And I think that's what we also talked about in the beginning. There is something about this case that people saw, and I mean, content creators have picked sides with celebrities before, but this is different. I'm a little more concerned about these TikToks claiming they know information, and there's some dark, disturbing stories about me that are going to break as they're getting DMs. And that brings in mind, what's the girl's name?
Jenna. The Jenna of it all. This is actually one of my favorite texts. I don't know if you knew this, but this is absolutely. Yes, this is absolutely one of my favorite texts, because I don't know how defamation works, right? But she has the CRD coverage for defamation. But if it turns out that she was concocting a lie, and she was seeding it, her team was seeding it as early as August 8th, is that not defamation? 100%. Is that not with malice? 100%. If you know that it's not true?
Yep. You cannot say you didn't know about it, because now we have these text messages. And if whoever was sending Jenna DMs to make these videos or say whatever she was saying, if that has anything to do with you or your team, this is bonkers.
And here's the thing. She was not the only content creator that was being reached out to at that point. It was any content creator that had gone viral that seemed to be positive about Justin. They were told that Blake was going to come out as a victim. But here's the difference with Jenna. And she deleted her Substack thing that I talked about on October 31st. But, the internet is, again, forever. So somebody has it. But the thing that was different for Jenna is she explicitly stated that the DM that she received was closely resembled exactly what ended up in the lawsuit. That's huge. Because if we know that there's certain things that were very questionable of how truthful they were. So if they were pushing those narratives about the dance montage, about the birth video, about whatever, then we can say, look, they were pushing this out way before the CRD, way before it was under legal covering.
Yeah.
So can that be then used? And I don't know because I'm not a lawyer. Can that then be used to bring up defamation in a real way? Blake Lively puts Jenna in her disclosures, right? What's the benefit of doing that? I mean, if you were the one seeding, wouldn't you want to go, I'm in the up and up? I mean, this person just happened to hear stuff. But the difference, again, is Jenna saying closely to the lawsuit. If she didn't say that, if it's something that other people could have said on set, that's one thing. But if it ends up being in the lawsuit, that's somebody insider giving her some stuff.
Justin is like trying to meet after he mentions what he's concerned about. Melissa responds and says, I personally am not concerned about this, but we all know there are no dark, disturbing stories. But Justin's thing was, if it did exist, there would be lies. And I'm glad that he added that in the text and he didn't just say, hey, I'm worried they're saying this. But he specifically was like, I'm worried they're saying this, but just keep in mind, though, if they end up trying to come up with something, there would definitely be lies. I think it's important that he reiterates that in a text message, because Team Blake would be like, well, what would he be worried about if there was nothing to worry about?
They definitely would say that.
Wayfair posted the article from the Wrap on their page that says, it ends with us ending explain why Justin Baldoni changed Ryle's fate. And then Colleen saw that, and I guess her spidey senses were like, no. So she texts Justin a screenshot of that and goes, this is a lie. Please delete it. It does nothing but fuel the fire of what they're saying about me, which I guess at this point, Colleen is going through it with the fandom because they're not having it with her. If this were true, you wouldn't have asked me numerous times about Ryle's role in book 2. I have kept quiet, but this is just mean. I didn't think it was.
Can you hold on that for a second? Yeah. Think about this. She said what? Can you repeat what she says that Justin did?
So Colleen says, if this were true, you wouldn't have asked me numerous times about Ryle's role in book 2.
Yeah, she wants us to believe, right, that he asked multiple times, asked so many questions, but didn't bother to show her a script. I mean, he came out with the receipts. And here's the wild thing, Ellsworth. I know we're getting to that text that we're talking about here, but I just wanted to say, when I was reading that text out to folks, people will see, I was like, but wait a minute, why is she saying these? These are not true. Only for all the receipts to flow right after that. But I mean, honestly, if you think about it, how hurtful is this? I think the last time they ever spoke probably was May 2024. And this was August 2024. And this is her first text.
Yep. Just like, how does that even trigger you that much? For you to go right and be like, this is, and then to say it's just mean, like, what is mean?
Yeah, like, she didn't read the article, apparently. She just reads the headlines.
She just read the headline.
Unless Blake was there hovering. Because honestly, here's the thing. One of the theories that we have is that they knew that it was being read.
Yeah.
And here's the reason. Oh, gosh, I need to stop going ahead because I'm like, it's the way they responded back to that text. So I'm going to hold that for later.
Yeah. Let's go down to Jen's response. So Jamie and I spoke, they're deleting it because I guess at this point, I don't want to say that they were trying everything they can to appease Colleen, but maybe appease is not wrong either, because at this point, Colleen is way over there on Team Lively, helping her act the fool, that they need to do anything they can to make sure if things are fine with Colleen, maybe they could see some light, right? So they pretty much are like, you know what, just if she wants us to delete it, we'll do it, but like, just to make her happy, right? So Jamie and I started deleting it, take this opportunity to open up dialogue with her, apologize, communicate that if you read the interview, it doesn't mean he's cut out of the sequel, but it was a decision of how to end the film. You explain it in all quotes within. use this opportunity to connect with her and commiserate with her, what she's going through and how much you care about her, and how that hasn't changed even when she turned her back on you and left you to fend for yourself. She's getting a ton of hate and backlash from the DV community, which that's not Justin's fault. You sat next to Blake at every turn in every interview and watched her treat your movie like a rom-com, and you, Colleen, acted like it was the happiest day of your life anytime she did it. So how you want Justin to again take responsibility for something she did is crazy. This kind of broke my heart. We just talked about that. But when Jen is pretty much telling Justin, reach out to Colleen. Now, again, they had no idea people would see this text message because she says, let her know you want to have a conversation and you miss your relationship, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, I know the Blake Lively people are going to read that. See, Justin is not sincere. His publicist is telling him to say blah, blah, blah. Just you care about the relationship or whatever. But Justin says, hey, can we please have a group? Can we please have a regroup with everybody, including Melissa? I'm sorry, I don't have the capacity right now with this. And to me, that's like the most human experience. Like, yeah, and it can be hard too, being on and being good all the time. Like there gets a point where you get heartbroken, and you can definitely tell he's heartbroken by the way Colleen is handling this. Because I don't have the capacity right now in the moment to be the bigger person and do that. You have to remember that it was her betrayal that landed me in the hospital. It's been devastating to me. This makes my blood boil. I read that and I really got sad.
Us too. And you know what's wild about it, Elsridge, is the fact that I would say what broke my heart about this is honestly, I actually thought the reason he landed in the hospital was because of Blake. But to find out that it was because of Colleen.
Yeah.
That's heartbreak of a 5-year friendship lost just like that.
That's hard.
But what I loved what Jennifer Abel said next.
Jen goes, fully understand and respect that Jamie's working through a response. Instead of thinking of this like an olive branch that is tactical art of war approach, if Colleen can come around and is willing to open up lines of communication, that would be a massive message for the world that this issue solely relates to Blake and not at all to all of the women. And I don't think Colleen was ever going to do that for him. I mean, she did.
Well, but here's the key point. Their whole thing is this is not about all the women. They keep saying, Blake keeps saying all these others. Yeah. And she's like, the point is, this is not about anybody else. This is only solely about Blake and Blake in her shenanigans.
If you're Justin, you probably at every point in your life, you're like, I could have just never touched this movie in my life. My life would be different now. I mean, he could have gone on living his life in the past 3 years. He could have been doing anything else.
You know what? Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath and Wayfarer, Steve Sarwitz, all of them, the vision for Wayfarer was they were going to change Hollywood. I don't think this is what they imagined they were going to do it, the vehicle they were going to do it through. But I think they have. I mean, I always thank Blake Lively, genuinely. I thank Blake Lively for thinking that she was, taking away the masks of the PR of Justin's. Because in reality, she threw the mask off of herself, of her husband, Ryan Reynolds, of PR, of Sony, of all the Hollywood machine. She showed us how grimy it was. She let us know the tabloids and how they work, TMZ, all this stuff. If it were not for Blake Lively, everybody would just be making their money, But now she's ruined their money flow because now everybody's like, thinks everything is sketchy. Even if it's not, people are now very weary and very skeptical.
So this is the Colleen text message she sent. Justin Bocce, you want to take it?
Yeah. So she says, it just feels like I'm on an island here. When the hate is being directed at me, you guys posting that article and allowing it to fuel the comments is hurtful. And the timing of it just feels like you're worried about your image, but not the women who are behind this story. I know things took an awful turn and I felt forced to choose when I did not want to, which is a very interesting statement. Who forced you? But the back and forth articles from both camps are just so upsetting and ridiculous. It's making everyone working on this movie look immature. Everyone is out there trying to save themselves, and now this has turned into a huge mess. And I know you guys think I've made decisions for certain reasons. Well, I think you have. I don't know about them. But I have felt the rift from long before I ever was in contact with Blake. Oh, and this is when she starts making this is when her storytelling comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember reading this going, ma'am, we know that things are not true.
Yep.
And not because I think she's lying, but because I knew there was going to be a receipt showing that this is not true.
This is not true.
Because I saw some of her own videos.
Yeah.
You know?
And when she was like, the script is done, you guys is good. I'm like, we remember you.
Yes.
About being part of the process, ma'am.
Yeah. So I was like, even if Justin didn't like bring out the receipts, she left receipts. I was so confused with what she said. She said it started with me not being allowed to read the script until I was sat with readers. But then all the interviews made it seem like you included me in the script from the beginning. Oh, I wonder why. You were involved in this since the beginning. Then the whole documentary thing where I said no so very many times. Okay, I can tell this was Blake Lively production, because she's trying to establish that they kept pressuring people to do things that they didn't want to do.
Yeah,
this is a concoction that's supposed to back up Blake Lively's version of the events.
Yeah,
and she goes, and the book, when I asked you guys to at least donate a portion of the proceeds to DV, and then I was told that the only way a donation would be made is if I took 1% and donated that myself. Then the whole tattoo thing, and I thought they were talking about the no more situation, but I was like, that's not the case.
Exactly.
But it was a different thing that she wanted to do, and they couldn't legally do it. But then the whole tattoo thing, and this was the tell here. Elsridge, this was the tell. When they responded back, and we're going to go to the response, that's the tell. Because and I'm going to say this, when they responded back, look at all the receipts that Justin Baldoni provided to show where Colleen is saying things that are not true, right? Mm-hmm. But when it comes to the tattoo, their response, and the key thing I always say is like, look for what's missing. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they explicitly left off the fact that they knew that Blake Lively did not read the book, and that's why she changed the design of the tattoo that they now had to fix for $100K. This told me that they knew that Blake Lively was reading these texts.
Oh, yeah.
They absolutely knew. It's what's missing. And I think that them leaving that off, they knew that Colleen knew. That they knew. That they, it's like they knew that Colleen knew that you know that I know. Exactly.
For sure.
That was the tell. I likened it to a hostage situation where they're like, how do you know when you've been taken? Somebody will say things like, say something that's so like opposite of what you actually will say, and somebody knows something's wrong.
Something is going on.
And Colleen would have known, reading the response to the tattoo. Oh, they know. They know that she's reading these text messages.
And with her, and the way Colleen responded too, I mean, it was very obvious. Like, she didn't even touch it.
Yes. Then the whole tattoo thing, all the texts of you blaming Blake for that, and reiterating that she didn't read the book every time. I just try to ask you what to say to readers. I've been disappointed personally by your actions many times. I appreciate that you haven't directly said anything negative. That's how it should be. But you are grown men with a platform. You know how to use it to protect your image. Please don't continue to use it to harm me or mine. That's all I'm asking. Okay, that is not how Colleen Hoover. That is a Blake Lively production right there.
Here, Colleen says, okay, but as for the script, I'm really pleasantly surprised. It's much closer to the book. How would you know that if you've never read the script?
Mm-hmm.
I totally understand the need for a lot of the changes. There are only a handful of tiny notes. They wouldn't need a rewrite or anything, just some tweaks if you agree with my thoughts. But like I said, love it. Love what, Colleen?
Mm-hmm.
The script that you never read? Think it's going to make the readers very happy. Really? Heart. I'll do another reread when I get home. Reread of what? The script? Okay. When I get home Sunday, and try to get you some notes before the meeting next week. Really? You are going to reread an imaginary script and have notes on it? or we can discuss in the meeting and get other people's ideas as well. Wonderful job. Tell Chrissy I love it. Love what, Colleen?
Mm-hmm.
The script.
Receipt upon receipt upon receipts.
Receipts, proofs, timeline. So this conversation about Atlas being African American to me is so big. And I know it might not seem big to people if they don't care about that, but to me, it is such a huge thing to know right here that Colleen and Justin, right here in this text message, one small thing is the restaurant name Roots. If we're going to make Atlas African American, I'm sorry, come again. Atlas was supposed to be played by an African American man. I mean, the cast could have used some diversity. 100% could have used more. So Atlas, who was supposed to be Lily's younger character, her younger self's love interest, because as much as Blake wants everybody to think Atlas as an adult is Lily's love interest, that's not true. Atlas is not Lily's love interest. Lily as a young kid, Lily as a teenager's love interest is Atlas. As a grown person, Atlas is just a person and should not be this thing. Like, if this was a typical movie that worked the typical way, while Brendan Sklenar would have been on the promo tour, it wouldn't have been that much. If anything, it should have been young Lily and Alex being a focal point of the promo tour, because adult Lily and Brendan Sklenar pretty much had barely 3, 4, 5 scenes together, right? So if anything, I think the movie should have been promoted as Isabella Farah with Alex, I forget his last name, and then
it's a very long last name,
right? And then Blake and Justin as Lily and Ryle, and then Isabella Farah and Alex. That should have been the promo tour in a perfect world. So this is when Colleen is talking to Justin about Atlas being African American, and what I'm saying is we don't have confirmation, right? We don't know how come we went from a possibility of that character being a black man to we got the most not black option, not brown, not diverse at all. We got to as corn-fed, potato-fed man you can find in America and made him Atlas. And the conversation about the restaurant not being named Roots, I can agree with that, right? If we're not going to name it Roots for the right reasons, if the character would be black, because we don't know that he's naming his restaurant about a woman that's not even in his life anymore. But what do you think about the possibility that we're going to find out? And I don't know that it's going to be Justin's reason for him not being black, because it seems as though the way Colleen was responding to the message, she's saying she likes that idea, which means it came from Wayfarer to make the character black. I want to know how we go from this conversation happening and Atlas being black to we're filming and Atlas is the most whitest man I've ever seen. How do we get there?
I actually went to Blake Lively's IMDb, and I said,
she's ever had a
she's had a person of color as a lead, right, with Henry Golding. Her improvisation of grabbing his junk, because she felt inspired. She felt like her
character would do that.
Yeah, her character would have done that. But don't worry, she asked for consent. But Henry Golding has.
I'm gonna grab your junk.
Yeah, Henry Golding has done interviews talking about like that was one of his first movies, and
it was only his second one. And Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah, and he said he didn't feel like he could have as much of a voice, which I found very interesting, because obviously he didn't say like I would have said no to her grabbing my junk, but I didn't feel like I could. But it just stood out to me that he said, I was still pretty brand new when I did that movie.
I have no idea how we're gonna get the proof, but I hope Wayfarer is very, very creative and finds a way to give us that, because I think that will hurt her a lot. One last thing we're gonna look at here is the tattoo, which I had no idea was such a big deal till I saw these text messages. But Colleen was so adamant about this tattoo being done properly, so she texts Justin and said, "So the heart on it ends with us. The heart on it ends with us. It's not closed at the top. Lots of people have this tattoo from the book, and I know they're going to wonder why the same shape heart. Can visual change the shape of the tattoo, or can we have an answer ready for why the tattoo is slightly different than the book? It looks like this." And this is the response Justin gives her. And to me, she kind of glosses over it, right? Because Justin says, because Blake wouldn't read the book and changed it from my design. yes, let me get into it. And then Colleen doesn't say anything about the fact that Blake didn't read the book. She just jumps to, it's such a minor detail. Wait, so now that he's telling you just that Blake didn't read the book, now it's such a minor detail. Okay. But readers will want answers. I was just thinking, I mean, if you want an answer, he just gave you one. Blake didn't read the book. But she says, I was just thinking preemptively, just saying something in convo like the tattoo is slightly different for copyright reasons, which she really could have gone with that. And then I guess Justin has sent her, this looks to me like a picture of what he wanted his design to be. Colleen says, awesome, I'll get right on it. Have a meeting with Sony in 10, but I'll get this to you today.
It's a minor detail that cost them $100K.
$100,000. Yeah. So before we jump to that response to Colleen, we have this text message Justin had sent Janable talking about how everything is different with Isabella Ferrer now. We've read this Isabella Ferrer text message 100 times, but Justin said, hey, just wanted to share this with you all from July. This was how Isabella Ferrer thanked me. Now she won't say my name.
Even before we read the actual final version of what is sent, you know, to Colleen Hoover, this is a back and forth between Jamie Heath and Jen Abel and Justin Baldoni, because he wants to make sure he says the right thing. Because, you know, if you don't,
and
Blake will leak it.
This is when we know Jamie is saying, like, whatever you're writing back to her, assume Blake will see it, assume they can leak it, you know, assume she's going to show it to Blake. So we need to make sure. And I think Melissa Nathan or somebody even specifically says, assume this is going to get out. Like, assume whatever this text message is going to be seen by other people. So you want to make sure you get it right. But this is what Jamie said to Justin about the paragraph.
Yeah, so he says, I don't think we need the following paragraph at all, as there's no need to make this about you right now. We shouldn't ask for her sympathy at this moment. This is the moment where I'm like, Jamie Heath demonstrates such strong emotional intelligence. It's not that he's not sympathizing with Justin. Hey, I get that you're feeling this way. It's not the right time.
Yeah.
It's not the right time. This is not going to be received well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I appreciate that.
That was wise. And you can understand, because Justin was emotional, and rightfully so, he was. And for him to be as human as possible, and for Jamie to recognize that, hey, this is my brother, he's hurting. I don't have the capacity either to be hurting at the same time. Somebody needs to look out for him. And had he sent it this way, it would have come off exactly how Jamie had the wherewithal to know at that time.
This is just from the heart, what Justin was feeling at that moment. I want to share how difficult it has been for me too, especially when the film, which I poured so much of my heart into, was taken out of my hands. I've remained silent as fans began to wonder why I wasn't part of the press or even the photos at the premiere. Being uninvited from Book Bonanza without any explanation left me feeling lost and hurt. Not being allowed to share the premiere with you and instead waiting in a basement until I was escorted to a separate theater with my friends and family who had come to celebrate was incredibly painful. Still, I did so out of respect for the movie and not wanting to derail the celebration of it. Yeah. So I mean, sad. Great feedback from Jamie saying, like, this is not the time or place, you know?
Yeah. And even down to the fact that Jamie was in a basement too. Jamie's family was there to celebrate too. Jamie worked on the film too, you know? So you can understand Jamie was hurt too. So he could definitely understand how Justin was feeling, and having the emotional intelligence to take your feelings out of it and focus on the matter at hand. I mean, every decision they made in this case could have been catastrophic, right? Every single choice they made in this case could have been the difference between looking like you did it and looking like you're fighting for yourself, you know? So to me, it's amazing that he had the knowledge to make this decision right here. So this is the updated version of the text message Justin ended up sending Colleen after they had worked on it and decided it was good to go, right? So feeling alone on an island is just terrible. I want you to know with all sincerity that my team hasn't engaged in anything that would harm you, and they have not contributed to any negative articles. My heart breaks when I think the distance that has grown between us, especially when I've always valued our collaboration and friendship so deeply. I know a lot has happened since we first worked on the script together, and I love the fact that he made it be known we worked on the script together. Don't do that. And you feel as though you weren't included before the fan reading. As an effort to remind you, I love that, We sent you the script beforehand in July of 2022 when you responded with such positivity, noting how pleased you were that it stayed true to the book, and you even shared your notes with me. You even got to read it before I did. I'm happy to share those screenshots if you'd like. I love it. A little spiciness. I love it.
I love it. He's like, just know I got receipts.
I got these receipts on lock. You know, Colleen was reading that like, what screenshots? That should have been a telltale sign to Blake. This man got screenshots. Regarding the documentary, I want you to know while Jamie may have tried to ease some of your concerns regarding being on camera, he and Wayfair always intended to respect your wishes, which is why we never moved forward. It was only an idea meant to bring fans closer to a story that means so much to so many. Once he shared your feelings and anxiety about being on camera, he completely understood, and we immediately killed that idea.
Okay, stop for a second, real quick on that. This reminds me again of like Blake Lively claiming, you know, just just an idea was already equal to putting it into the script.
Into the script, yeah.
Just a conversation. And so I feel like his answer was just to remind her, this was just an idea. It was not implemented.
Regarding the coffee book donation, legally, Wayfair couldn't donate the 1% on your behalf as she graciously requested. It wasn't a demand from us, but a legal requirement we were asked to relay. And I think people are going to take this and probably think, oh, then they didn't end up donating anything to No More. They did. As far as Wayfair's commitment to No More, that was Wayfair's commitment to No More. This is an extra 1% of donations Colleen wanted them to make to this coffee book thing. But in that text, she makes it seem like when she says about DV, people are going to assume No More and probably even think she brought No More aboard. I don't. As for the tattoo, I'm so glad you pointed out the importance of it to the fans and the DV community while we were in the edit. We were more than happy to change it in post, and the film is better for it. I'm grateful for your insight. I completely own that. I vented about many things regarding production and the post process, and I can fully understand how that could have been a load too heavy to carry. Please know that my door is always open to you. I truly hope that we can talk and rebuild our friendship. This isn't about any image for me. It's about reconnecting with someone I care about deeply. I hope this might be a step towards healing and celebrating this film together. Bocce, wow, what a doozy. We're looking forward to more text, Bocce. I don't know, what do you think the new MSJ, hoping the new MSJ attachments are going to show us some more text messages. The one we've seen before, but what are you looking forward to seeing to round it up, if you will?
We've been begging Blake Lively for some sort of proof.
To show us something.
And so obviously every time she's thrown something on the docket, it's like, why are you showing this? This
doesn't help.
This helps Wayfarer. So will Wayfarer actually put something on docket that actually helps Blake just to return the favor? I don't know.
Like, here you go. A little something for your
just trouble. A little bit.
And if you're Colleen, I wonder how you feel now reading these in 2025 and seeing how wrong of a side you chose, considering she said she was forced to choose, I believe. But I'm excited to see what the new text messages bring.
The only reason we even see this, group of texts, is because they chose to sanction Melissa Nathan. And they said, well, wait a minute. Why are you trying to sanction us for this when you have unredacted versions through Van Zandt? Yeah. And that piece was the thing that's so important to me, because this is what made me realize that Blake Lively always knew that there was no smear campaign, and she still pushed it out to the public.
Yeah, and I love it. I love that somehow that's going to be her own mistakes that bring her down. And I also cannot wait to get into the MSJ of Jen Abel pretty much saying, hey, I was employed by Stephanie Jones. So really, at the end of the day, go sue Stephanie Jones, or let Stephanie Jones pay your attorney's fees, and whatever money you want from me, get it from my boss. Because technically, everything I did, she was my employer while she watched me do it. And she even handed you my phone as proof. So appreciate you for being here with me. Everybody, please make sure to go follow Bocce on TikTok, on YouTube, and Bocce Spotify is going to be in the description. Please make sure to check that out. All right. But I appreciate you for being here, you guys. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment, and I'll get back to you. Have yourselves a great day. Bye-bye.
Thanks.